Oh my goodness. Well, here now. We're gonna go on one. I'm adding it to the selection. I was just talking about love, and that's, what a fairy tale that was. So let me break it all down for you, as they say. I think there's three big things that people are striving for. There's, of course, the God up in the sky and the afterlife and all of that. That's one of them. And then the two big ones down on this earth here are love and money. I talked at length, that means a long time, about God and that whole deal. And I talked about love, so I'm going to talk about money for just a little bit here. Let's see, what can I say about money? Well, money it's a lot like those other two. It's mostly, it's an illusion as well, because money is a tangible thing and it can do some good things for you. It can give you a security blanket. You're not going to end up a homeless man sleeping out on the street. In New York City, they call those homeless guys bumsicles because they freeze to death when they're out there laying on the sidewalk. They go to pick them up and they say, let's go get another bumsicle. And you know what some of them bums do? They go under the cars, from what I hear, what I read, and they hit the little screw there and they drink the water from the radiators sometimes because it's all they have. Of course, that's 50% coolant and 50% water, so that's another way they croak. But I don't think they're really, it's just as good as anything else, I guess. So, anyway, the notion about money that everybody gloms onto, it's, as I say, it's very similar to love. It's an illusion. It's going to solve all your problems. Like I say, it'll do a few things for you, but it's greatly overblown, like everything in society. I could say a few things on it. I'm trying to go faster than I usually do. One of my best friend for like 10 or 15 years was a guy by the name of Nick. And this Nick guy, he had maybe $10 million. And I can tell you, he would be jolly and jumping around like Barney the dinosaur for, other people and, keeping it light and friendly and happy. And when we talked like good old boys, he had so many problems that couldn't be solved by money that it was unbelievable. And this is what happens. You think money's going to come into your life, but it doesn't change your basic personality. It doesn't change your ability to feel happiness. It doesn't change your physical health. You could have whatever, lots of diseases. It doesn't change your mental health. Sure, you might feel happier for a while, but your mental health is your mental health. A lot of that's genetic. Again, basic, and so is your physical health. So those things, and things like disorders and addictions, you're drinking booze. This guy Nick I was telling you about, he became addicted to painkillers. And you know what happens to them? And that's what happened here. So and one other thing I guess I'll throw into the fray, and you can throw it out if you don't like it, but there's this woman I remember I read this book about money being, not the magic elixir. It was by Jean Shatsky. And they interviewed like 3,000 people or something, from these bumsicles, I guess, up to billionaire bumsicles and whatever they do, whatever they pickle themselves with. The bums do it with antifreeze. These other guys, they do it with, painkillers and cocaine. But, they may be just as pickled as the bums are. But they did this survey of 3,000 people, and, you know, of course, what they said was what everybody I think knows at bottom. You know, their happiness quotient and their quality of life didn't change at all. Now, their lifestyle changed. You know, they had a better car and, you know, a better house. But, you know, that's another thing I would mention. Okay, so I want to finish that, though. The lifestyle changed. Yes, indeedy do. But their basic personality, their happiness, their outlook, all their problems remained. And so, you know, they had a better car to drive around in. But, okay, there are some benefits, sure. But it's greatly oversold. People expect way, way too much of it. It's a necessary commodity, but, you know, it doesn't have all these magical powers that people think it does. They spend their lives getting it. And here's another point I want to make. I think it makes a lot of sense. This guy, Nick, I'm using as an example, with the $10 million. So he was a workaholic. But the thing was, he had this money. He never did anything with it. So it's sitting there in the bank. He never went on a vacation anywhere. He would go out to dinner, but that's about it. Other nights he stayed home and watched TV. So, you know, you can make $30,000 a year or $30 million a year, but if you end up sitting at home watching TV, what's the difference? I mean, he didn't really put it to use. I mean, I was always saying, well, why don't you all go out and go wild with it? You know, you got this money. Well, you know, you're just going to leave it to your children. Well, in this case, it was one heir. What's the point of that? Breaking your ass your whole life. So your wife gets a settlement, and then your children are going to spend, or your child is going to spend your money. Well, where's the enjoyment you got out of it? But, you know, for him, it was all about making it. People, like I say, because we're thrown here without any reason or purpose, you have to come up with some kind of an invention of what you're going to do with your life. So for most people, it's just throw yourself into work, not because it has any redeeming qualities, but it's something to do. It's something to keep you busy. Like I say, birds come here and they fly. And fish come here and they swim, but we don't really have any purpose, anything to do like that. So we invented them, you know. We run around believing in things in the sky, and we believe when we die, we're gonna go up in the stars, and we believe we're gonna find our soulmate and love, and we believe that if we make a lot of money, you know, we're gonna enter, Kismet. We're gonna enter the magic palace, the magic kingdom. Right, where everybody's going to be smelling sweet, they're going to be nice, and everything's going to be cool and rosy, and it's another life out there you're going to grab onto. You're going to jump from where you are and go off to this other place where everything is different, and you're living in now like a magical world because you achieved this or that or the other thing. But you see, none of that works. It can't work. Like I said before, you're going to say, it can't work. Well, what kind of an arrogant son of a bitch are you? But I'm telling you, it cannot work because the problems that are within you are within you. It's the way you were built at the big people factory. It's our evolutionary design. It was flawed. We are not. You see, if we were put here by a God and we were made to be whole beings, let's say, then that would be different. But we came up through evolution, hit and miss. We made it. We're walking around, but there's a lot of parts of us, especially our neurochemistry, that is very, very lacking. And so it's just like genetic diseases. Those are obviously a lack, but people continue to keep having them. So we were built very, very imperfect by, you know, evolution and our genetics. So there's really nothing out here, in the world that you can, let me put it this way. The problem is within ourselves, and we're trying to add things from out in the world that's going to change that. But the only way you could change yourself is if you go in with a scalpel and somehow change your neurochemistry and your genetics to allow you to feel differently. Because the way it is now, like I said, we're that carrot on a stick guy, and we're not allowed to sit back and bask in happiness because evolution and genetics, of course, don't even know what that is. That's our notion. As I say, they only gave you two things. It wants to see you survive, and it wants to see you replicate. Don't ask me why. You know, Richard Dawkins, in his blockbusting, world-changing book, The Selfish Gene, which I would recommend everybody read, it's a seminal work on it. He says, of course, I mean, what's the title? The Selfish Gene. That's what we're made up of, the selfish gene. And why are we selfish? Because all of us have all these many, many lacks in us. That's L-A-C-K-S, lacks. We lack all kinds of things that we weren't given in our evolutionary journey. So lacking all these things, we're trying to fix everything with all of these things outside of us, like the money and the fame and the Ferrari. But of course, if you think about that for a second, you cannot change the lacks and the deficiencies inside you, which are built into you, by adding anything on the outside. It's like if I say that these are a really cool pair, let's see how much time we got. These are a really cool pair of blue sunglasses, and they're worth $5 million because Madonna once wore them when she was getting nailed by somebody. Well now, boy, these are $5 million shades, and I'm wearing them, so I must be a super cool guy, and I'm a rich guy, and I could feel really happy about that. But no, they're just a pair of sunglasses, a piece, some plastic to it, and that's like everything else you attain. What is it? It's not going to change you inside. You're still going to have all these things that are hectoring away at you. Now, come on now. You can't be that naive. I don't blame anybody for chasing money because it gives you something to do while you're waiting to die. Like I say, there's no purpose to anything. We were just tossed in here out of a big cup. We just fell down, and then we started inventing everything to give us a reason to go on. That's the state of it all. So those three big things, and there's many, many more, but those are the three big ones. You got your God up there that's waiting for you. You got your love, and down here on this planet, on this orb, we got your planet, or we got your love, and we got your money. And those babies are what people spend most of their time chasing. But they are illusions. They don't carry the weight that you think they do. They're not the magic elixirs. I've read maybe a half a dozen books on this very subject and lots of other subjects written by actual psychiatrists. And they say the biggest problem with people coming in to their offices is not the ones that haven't achieved. It's the ones that have made money. It's the ones that maybe are famous. The ones that are, I don't know, whatever they are. And they come into the psychiatrist's office and they say, yeah, but I'm still the same. And the psychiatrist says, well, of course you are. What were you expecting? You see, those people that have achieved what they were going for and didn't get the happiness out of it they expected, they're worse off, way worse off, than the people that are still out there striving for all these things. You see what I mean? These people that haven't achieved it, they still have something to go for. They're still out there working away like dogs, or, looking for love in all the wrong places. I know the right place. I can find it every time, but that's another story. Now look, so that they're in there with a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist, they write books about these things, and they say, the main problem we are facing all the time is people are always chasing illusions and always chasing expectations. And whether they get it or not, it doesn't change their life. It doesn't make them happier. At least the ones that haven't attained what they're going for yet can still hold on to that hope that they may get it. But when they come in and they got a lot of dough and they got the bought girlfriend and all of that, and they say, well, now, I'm still addicted to pain pills, and I'm still depressed, and I think life is, a big bowl of doo-doo. Then the psychiatrist says, well, there's nothing I can do for you, boy, because all of these things you were chasing anyway could never have helped you or fulfilled you in the first place. It's all illusionary. This is what the psychiatrists say. They may be wrong, but, and they don't say that in 50-50. It's like 95% of the psychiatrists you'll ever hear or read. And they've done polls with these guys, too. It's like 98% of them will tell you, the love, they call it the love delusion and the money delusion. This is what the guy in the book was calling it. And there's also the marriage delusion, the children delusion, the fame delusion. I don't know, the delusion. I mean, take your pick. It's like a cornucopia. Now, that's a pretty fancy word for a country boy, but I'm wearing these blue glasses, and I'm seeing a new light on things. But I could go on this topic forever, but I'm just trying to give you a little advice. The problems we have are not going to be solved by anything that's out there in the world. It's not going to come in and do surgery on our insides. And so you say, this is an important one. What's the answer there, Jethro? Tell us what the answer is. And that's what the whole point of everything I'm trying to tell you is. There is no answer. There is no answer to our living. This is what, again, I go back to Buddha. Life is suffering. And whether you're poor or rich, it's going to be suffering. And there's nothing you're going to attain that's going to change that basic factoid. But what you can do, as I said before, is if you put your feet on the ground and accept that, I think the whole key is acceptance. If you accept that as the baseline, as the normal position, then anything that comes to you would be seen as a bonus and uplifting. But if you way up here on the tightrope, and you have a million expectations, and most of them aren't coming true, now that's like you coming down from that high place that you're on. So if you lower your expectations down to the ground, and I know that may sound like the wrong thing, but it's exactly the right thing, and it's the opposite of what most people do. If you're on the ground now, you got your feet on the ground, boy. And now when these things come in, you're looking at it from, let's say, a minimal base. Because you've accepted now that life is suffering, but you can still live and still enjoy it at times. So now when anything is happening, because you don't have these expectations all up here on the high wire, to keep, every time they don't come true, they knock you down and you're heading downward. Now you're on the ground. You're on solid footing. And now anything that happens, you see it as a bonus in life because that's what it is. You see, we were never promised any of these things that you think are going to, change us or make us better people or happier people. None of that was promised to anybody. And again, now I'm repeating myself and it's time to quit. But even if you get these things, they still don't have the power to change you. And this is why psychiatrists make $300,000 a year, because the people that are sitting on their couches didn't realize that. So if you listen to this tape, you can save $300,000 a year, because I'm giving you what the psychiatrist will tell you when he's sitting on his couch. But I can't charge $300 an hour. I'm thinking about charging maybe $280 an hour, and I think that's cheap. I think you'd be lucky to get me at double the price of that. But now, oh my Lord, we just hit 20 minutes. I don't know, what can I do to keep my mouth shut? I got a stapler around here somewhere. Hey, I got a stapler. Maybe I'm gonna staple my big mouth shut, and then we can have shorter tapes. People tell me nobody will look at you for 10 or 25 minutes. You know, but well, what can I do? This is life. I hope you look at me like a curiosity, like you'd see like maybe in a sideshow. You say, look at that, Mabel. Look at that. What is it? I don't know. Help me, help me. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I'm in a rush, but you know, that's the way it goes sometimes. But I love seeing you. I love you people. I want to give you a kiss, all you ladies and all you men. Remember, send me money, send me money. I'm a worthy charity. I take anything. I take old clothes that I can sell, anything I can sell for money. Cash money, baby. Don't forget those slugs, too. So, okay, we're out of this, baby. And now you look at the next tape and be thrilled and excited and, you know, don't have an orgasm. Okay, bye-bye. Here we go. Turn off now, please.